The People's Choice Awards will take place next month, and pundits share their thoughts on K-pop's chances of acknowledgement at this year's awards. So which K-pop acts are likely to be applauded this year? What kept BTS Jungkook's solo album Golden on the Billboard 200 for 10 weeks? And who are the K-pop artists to join this year's Coachella? Welcome to yet another edition of Issues and Insiders. I'm Min Sunhee. Today, we delve into the latest on the K-pop front. And for this, I have Bernie Cho, the head of DFSB Kollective, live on the line. Bernie, as always, welcome back.
Oh, good to be back.
I also have Jeff Benjamin with us. Jeff, it's great to have you back as well.
Thank you for having me.
Bernie, we'll start with you. The People's Choice Awards takes place, I believe, on the 18th of February. What is your outlook regarding K-pop's prospects at this year's awards?
Well, before I start putting the Las Vegas betting line as to who's going to win and why, I think we should take a step back and sort of see and talk about who's been nominated. No surprises here. Some of the biggest and best names in K-pop have received nominations. BTS Jungkook, his solo efforts was able to nab not one, not two, not three, but 4 nominations, the most ever for a K-pop solo artist. He is up for collecting more trophies for Male Artist of the Year, the Pop Artist of the Year, New Artist of the Year, and Collaboration Song of the Year. And then 2 other artists, TXT and Stray Kids, are both competing in the Group Duo of the Year category. Now, what's interesting about Jungkook is, in addition to setting the record for having the most nominations as a solo artist, there's some interesting footnotes. In the Pop Artist of the Year category, Jungkook is the only male artist in the group of 8 nominees. He's going to be competing against the likes of Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa. It's massive, it's huge. And what's going to be interesting is that if he picks up another award for Collaboration Song of the Year for his hit single 7, featuring the American rapper Lato, this would be the second time. This would be a repeat of his win last year, in which he picked up a trophy with Charlie Puth for Left and Right. And so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to win. Now, historically and traditionally, K-pop has done very well at the People's Choice Awards. It's its 49th anniversary, and in 40 categories celebrating pop culture, be it movies, music, and TV, it's safe to say that K-pop artists not have a high, but a very good chance of winning, because the awards show that the title speaks for itself. The people literally, figuratively, actually choose. The voting mechanism is widely known. It's 100% voter-driven, publicly voted. The fans can vote online, whether it be through the website or through what is formerly known as Twitter, between late October through mid-November. And fans can vote up to 25 times per day per category. So I think it's safe to say, given the history, that K-pop artists will likely not just win one award, but multiple awards. And again, the People's Choice Award has often been very kind to K-pop artists' songs, albums,
right,
etc.
And hopefully that will be the case this year as well. Jeff, staying with Jungkook's Golden, this was in fact crowned the longest charting K-pop solo album on the Billboard 200. What do you believe, Jeff, is the album's appeal, if I may?
Yeah, just this week, Jungkook hit that record of longest charting solo album by a solo Korean artist on the Billboard 200 for 10 weeks. And, if we want to look into what made this such a long-standing project, we got to go back actually before it was even released. The strategy, I think, behind Golden was really about the long game, it seemed like, for Jungkook. He started with a single in the summer, 7, which Bernie just mentioned, the People's Choice Award nominated single with Lotto. That came out in the summer, gave him his first Hot 100 #1 hit. He followed up with a second single, 3D by Jack Harlow, a top 5 hit. Both those songs did great on radio and got some additional longevity from radio. Jungkook then took a little bit of a pivot, collaborated with the Kid Laroi on a collaboration song, a song that's still on radio as is 3D. And then when the album was finally released in November, he had another single ready to go, Standing Next to You, and the whole project was able for fans to take in. So on one hand, You could say this is not it's not actually a typical K-pop release, which tend to be focused a bit more on one single or one title track and sort of hoping the longevity stays with that project and keeps on. Jungkook kind of thought about the long game here. There was sort of a larger work being done here, and that's actually quite typical for more Western artists and more Western projects like that. So it makes sense. It was a fully English project. It had a lot of collaborators from the West, everyone from Shawn Mendes and Ed Sheeran to DJ Snake and Diplo. So there was a lot riding on this, and even today we're seeing his new single that was just playing right there, standing next to you. A remix features Usher, and Usher is about to play the Super Bowl, the biggest, entertainment concert of the year every year in America. So there's a lot of good things keeping the longevity good for Jungkook, because Golden hasn't even fallen out of the top 50 yet.
Right. Bernie, you mentioned Stray Kids earlier, and while we wait for results of the People's Choice Awards later, that is next month, this particular group, it's ranked second in album sales last year in the US market. How do you assess this achievement by Stray Kids?
Well, for me, I'd like to take a step back and just really highlight just how massive and huge what Stray Kids had for 2023. When we look at the best-selling CDs of 2023, according to Luminate, 6 out of the top 10 artists were K-pop artists, with K-pop actually seizing 7 out of the top 10 CDs sold. Now, 7 CDs were sold by K-pop artists, and then the remaining 3 by the one and only Taylor Swift. So that is massive. And when we look at that top 10, Stray Kids led the way with not only having the second best-selling CD of the year in the US, but also the number 4 best-selling CD in the US. And according to a lot of media outlets right now, they're doing the math. And right now, Stray Kids is quickly catching up to BTS in many important milestones. For the second year in a row, Stray Kids has had not one, but 2 #1 albums on the Billboard 200 chart. So that leads them right now with 4 #1 albums rolling into 2024. And as it's been announced and widely anticipated, they're likely to release 1, if not maybe 2 EPs or albums in 2024, which would lead them to be on pace and on par with BTS that currently has 6 #1 albums in the Billboard 200. And so with that math, and more importantly, with that momentum, Stray Kids, before BTS makes their comeback in 2025, could pull up even or even possibly maybe surpass BTS when it comes to #1 albums. And what I love about Stray Kids is truth in advertising. Their first #1 album for 2023 was called 5 Star. The review was done. And their latest #1, which just came out, was perfectly titled. It's just called Rockstar, because it really sort of defines who they are right now. I mean, unlike other boy bands, they're known for having a harder, edgier rock type of style. And again, like many other fans, some would even go so far to say it's not K-pop, it's Stray Kids pop. They're their own genre. But, kidding aside, Stray Kids has really just been touring the world, promoting their new albums, releasing amazing singles and videos to go with it. And so 2024 is shaping up to be, I think, an even bigger year for Stray Kids.
Right, and keeping what Bernie has said in mind, Jeff, what do you believe are the broader implications of Stray Kids or these rock stars' remarkable advances?
Yeah, it's so exciting to see, because even from the beginnings of Stray Kids, they were very much focused on owning their name, owning their story in their music. Even the fact that the group themselves were, the members were selected by leader Bang Chan, and they were put together and kind of, tested to see if they could stay together as a group. They've been through the ringer together, and they put that into their music in so many different ways. It's been so cool to see, a song like an album like 5 Star be able to have great legs in the US. It spent 16 weeks on the Billboard 200 so far. That's a huge jump from their previous projects. Rockstar, still on the charts this week, hasn't gotten the chance to make as big of a splash yet because it hasn't been out as long. But what's really, really important to keep in mind here is that album's lead single, La 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 La, was able to enter the Hot 100 singles chart. So Stray Kids is not only competing with album sales and being able to sell a lot of CDs, but they're also seeing their songs really connect in a larger way. And it's not because of, one song just happens to take off on, TikTok or virally. I think there's a growing interest and a growing love and appreciation for what Stray Kids is doing. And I think that goes all the way back to their beginning, Stray Kids. Whether it comes from their story or whether it becomes from that is what I would say about Stray Kids' large growing impact in the U.S.
Right, good to know, good to know. Meanwhile, Bernie, come April, I believe, curtains will go up on this year's Coachella, and I hear K-pop artists are in the lineup yet again. Could you tell us a bit more?
Every year you ask me this question, I give
do.
away the fact I'm likely going to go to Coachella. But yes, the great thing is that in a very short time span, K-pop acts, not just as, artists that are filling like Sunday morning slots, but actually headliners, is just becoming a bigger and bigger deal. In no way, shape, or form are K-pop acts, or for that matter, Asian acts, sort of token acts that are plugged in, or some sort of recipient of affirmative action. They are definitively headliners who pull in the numbers, who generate the buzz, who just put on electrifying performances. And this year, the 3 Korean artists that were picked and curated to be headliners at Coachella is a great mix, a dynamic range of artists, I think at this time, representing some of the best in the industry. First off is ATEEZ. They're the first K-pop boy band to perform at Coachella. Years ago, just before COVID struck, it was rumored that Big Bang was going to make their comeback at Coachella, but that never materialized. So it's good to hear, and more importantly, good to see that ATEEZ will be that first boy band to take the stage at Coachella. And what's interesting is that they're really rolling in strong. This 8-member band is still basking in the glow of finally hitting #1 on the Billboard 200 chart just a few weeks ago in December. And Le Sserafim, they're going to be another big name K-pop girl band taking the stage. And their sort of claim to fame is the fact that they're the fastest to debut on the big stage after officially only debuting only 18 months ago. And for me, the story that I love to talk about is the Rose, the Korean indie band quartet making the big stage. They've had a phenomenal 2023, hitting #1 on the Billboard Emerging Artist chart. They had a #5 U.S. album sales chart debut with their album Duel, and they even hit the top 10 on the U.S. alternative album chart as well. And it should come as a surprise because the Rose has been playing Lollapalooza in the U.S., and Sweden, and Chile, and Argentina last year. And for me, the feel-good story is, and I've just got to put this out there, 2 years ago when I went to Coachella, I actually had an extra ticket, and so I gave it to Kim Woo-sung, the lead singer of The Rose, and he was just a fan, enjoying the show. And I'm just happy to hear and see that, he's going from fan to actually going on stage in just 2 years. And so I can't wait to see him hit the stage with his bandmates. And so, yeah, it's going to be an exciting Coachella 2024.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. Jeff, what more can you tell us about this year's Coachella?
Oh, I love that story, Bernie. Woo-sung is amazing and just such a talent in so many ways. But, I love Bernie's point exactly about, these artists were curated. It's not Coachella is the festival that sort of sets the tone for festival season in the U.S. And it's a big place to play. It's not like it really needs too much help finding great artists that want to come out and perform at Coachella. So these artists, I'm really, really excited about them because I think they all have really strong live stages and live capabilities in their own ways. ATEEZ, I remember watching AT's, I think it was 2018, their first US tour or something, or 2019, where they played a small room in Brooklyn, and, just seeing how they were able to maximize the space and get that crowd so hyped. It was so cool to see. And I was like, this just deserves a bigger stage. The Seraphim is definitely a group that's like leading in attitude and has so much potential just in that larger US audience in particular. Their recent English single, Perfect Night, managed to make it onto the bubbling under Hot 100, which just means it was just below the Hot 100, and I don't think a lot of people expected them to really hit that. So it's showing a lot of momentum, especially for their just announced comeback. And I'm so excited to see the Rose play this festival, in particular Coachella, not only for that great story Bernie just told us, but they are really special live. They're great live. These guys make an experience that always just feels like you're having a community fun festival experience. And that's what I love about festivals, the community of music together. And the Rose is particularly good at that. So I think these three were really excellent choice this year. So shout out to the Coachella bookers.
Right, and definitely much to look forward to in April then. Jeff, moving forward, singer-songwriter IU, she's coming back after a 2-year break. What can we expect from her?
Ooh, yeah, this one's particularly exciting for me. I love IU and have so much respect for her. And she just announced the first step of her comeback that you mentioned will be the pre-release single, Love Wins All. This song is getting, naturally a lot of attention, of course, because IU is a huge star in her own right in Korea, but it's also getting attention for the fact that V of BTS is going to be what seems like he'll be co-starring in the music video, or it's not totally clear what his involvement is just yet. I wonder if there's a surprise. Maybe, I don't know anything, but I wonder if maybe, we'll get some cool vocals from V. But the music video, all the teasers, the posters, it all feels very cinematic, very beautiful. And even the message itself, love wins all, it's definitely a message I think a lot of people can relate to, and something that I think a lot of people, need to hear these days. I think IU is such a great example of someone who has gone through a lot in her career, continues to put out great work, continues to put out great art. So it's very exciting to kind of see not only what IU has planned musically, but also the fact that she has planned a tour, and I'm finally so excited to see IU live in the US and see her show as well.
Right, and staying with that, Bernie, as Jeff just mentioned, IU, she's scheduled to launch a 12-nation, 18-city tour starting in March. That being said, what do you suppose is the significance, if I may, of a solo female K-pop artist seeking to create a stronger, concrete connection with her global audience?
Well, I think, in many ways, I think when we talk about IU, for me, she's just not a solo female K-pop artist. I mean, I think in many ways, IU is actually a national treasure. She's an award-winning singer-songwriter. She's a critically acclaimed TV and film actress and one of the highest paid, highest profile commercial models in Korea. It's really hard to believe 2024 will mark her 18th anniversary as a K-pop artist. So I'm wondering if the 18-city tour is coincidentally matching the fact that, she's been at this for 18 years. But, again, in her illustrious career, it's hard to believe that she's done 9 concert tours, but this is her first actual world tour. And I think, it's exciting to hear that, obviously she'll be playing Korea. She's going to be revisiting a lot of cities and countries in Asia. But more importantly, she's going to be going to North America and Europe. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see the draw and the pull she'll have, because I think many people will go to her concerts. And I've seen her live many times in Korea. She's absolutely phenomenal because she can not only obviously sing and dance, but she plays instruments, flawlessly. And so I think it's going to be one of the bigger highlights of 2024, not only her album, but more importantly, her world tour. And I'm just really curious to see, the fans that are going to come out, regardless of whether they love her from the screen to, to their songs, I think they're all going to come out in droves. And I think it's going to be one of the more fascinating and exciting tours of the year.
Right, Bernie, I would have to agree. IU is tremendously talented. Right, that is all the time we have today. Bernie, as always, thank you so much for your insights. And Jeff, thank you very much for your thoughts and your time. Right, well, that brings us to the end of Tuesday's edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching. We return same time tomorrow, so do join us then.